Do you want to get bass lines like this with your circuit tracks? If you do, grab a cup of coffee and just stick around. I'll show you how you can use the circuit track strengths in order to get bassy, meaty, groovy, bouncy, and whatever else awesome bass lines, even if you're using just one note like I am here. Let's get started then. Before starting, let's create some context. Let's just build a simple drum loop and a simple bass line using just one note, just to get us some context. It doesn't need to be fancy. Something like this. And with that out of the way, now let's get started. We'll start with the main synth details. Oscillator 1 will be a square. And we'll add a little bit of V-sync to add a little bit of body. I'm using a square wave here, but you can use whatever you want. I have several different patches with different waves, just for variation. Oscillator 2 will be a sine. And I'll also add a little bit of V-sync here, around 12, to give it a little bit of body. I'll also drop it 12 semitones. This is to provide low-end presence to the sound. In the mixer section, both oscillators will have the same volume. And I'll also add a little bit of ring mod, about 45, to give the sound a little bit of grunt. Next is the filter section. The default filter is a low-pass 24 dB, and that's what I'll use. I'll drop the frequency to around 49. And this is a very specific number because this value is very important. It will be the lowest cutoff point for the filter. Make sure that you don't set this value too low so you don't end up losing the sound while live. Don't worry about macros for now because we will set them up in the last step. Resonance should also be turned all the way down and key track should be turned all the way up. Drive type should be valve. Now we can move on to the envelope section. Envelope 1 will have no attack and 3/4 of decay, around 101. Sustain will be at 1, so very low. And we'll have a little bit of release, actually less than it's the default. This will later be controlled using a macro. Now we'll select envelope 2. And this envelope will be used to control the filter. So we can increase the velocity tracking here. So we'll set it to about 18. And there will be no attack or decay because both of these values will be controlled by macros. Sustain will be short, so about 19. And there won't be any release either, so we'll set it to 0. Finally, let's get into the LFO section. And LFO 1 will be linked to the resonance, just to add a little bit of light flavor. So we'll set it as a triangle, and we'll have a free rate of 48. Now we can select LFO 2, which will be a sine, which is the default option, and we'll set the rates as low as it can go because this will be modulated using a macro later on. And that's it. This is it for the main section, and we can now move to the effects section. Starting with the chorus and phaser section, we will select chorus as our effect if it's not the default already, and the rate will be as low as possible as it will be controlled using a macro later on. We will give it a little bit more feedback, around 24, and we'll set the depth to a bit higher than half, about 73. We'll also set the delay to 1/4, which is around 29. Lastly, the level will be as low as possible too, because we will use a macro to control it. Now, on the EQ section, we'll set the low gain to 25 and the low frequency to around 72. The mid gain will be 11 and the mid frequency will be around 78. And the high gain will be 12 and we'll drop the high frequency to around 117. This curve will give emphasis to the low and high frequencies to make the sound fuller and more present. Regarding the distortion section, I won't make any changes here since I don't want to use any distortion, but feel free to add some warmth if you want. Finally, in the voice section, since this will be a mono patch, I'll select mono here, and I will set the portamento to about 106. And this is because I want to add a little bit of flavor later on using a macro. That's it. Now we've reached the final part, which is the modulation. This is actually what will elevate this patch into awesomeness because you'll have a ton of controls to shape and control the sound in real time. I will let you know what I have in each macro knob and why I've set it that way. But please remember, all of this is fully customizable. Experiment and see what works best for you and what you actually want to do. If you find a cool setup, make sure that you let me know in the comments. In macro 1, we'll control the filter cutoff envelope decay, which is called envelope to decay, right down here. And we will set the depth all the way to the right. On the other hand, macro 2 will control the filter cutoff envelope attack, which is called envelope to attack. And we'll set the depth all the way to the right. I like having these two controls at my disposal to create slight variations in how the filter affects the synth, and it also helps with the bounciness and overall groove. In the end, it really helps the sound feel less static and less boring. Macro 3 will have two modulations. We will control the sustain of the synth envelope, which is called envelope 1 sustain, and we will set it all the way to the right. We will also control the portamento rate, but just a little bit. Portamento rate is all the way down here on the FX section, and we'll set the start to 116 or around, and we'll add the depth all the way to the left. Again, the settings will help make slight variations to the sound to make it more organic. Macro 4 will control the synth envelope release, which is called envelope 1 release. And we'll set the depth all the way to the right. This macro is really important because by using this knob, you can make the sound more bouncy and sparse or longer and fuller. So it's a great way to change the intensity of the song, for example. Macro 5 will control the cutoff frequency, and we'll set the depth all the way to the right. Personally, I think it's always a good idea to have a dedicated knob for the filter cutoff. Macro 6 will control two settings. First, the filter resonance. Although I will not let it go all the way to the max so it doesn't sound too squelchy. So we'll set the depth to around 32. We will also control the filter envelope modulation, which is env2 mod. And for this one, we will just add a little bit of depth. Macro 7 will control the filter cutoff LFO rate, which is called LFO2 rate. We will also control the chorus rate. This macro will control the rate of the filter LFO, and this will be key to add swing and groove to your sound, so you can adjust it live as you wish. I like to have full control of the rate, but you can also reduce the depth if you wish to set specific boundaries. Finally, Macro 8 will control the effects. First setting will be filter drive. with the depth set to about 3/4, so around 41. And the second setting will be chorus level, with the depth to set around 3/4 as well, so 34. We are almost done with the patch, so now we'll get into the final section, which is the modulation matrix. We have 3 modulations to add here. In the first line, we'll add filter envelope as source, a depth of 16 positive, so about here, and the destination will be the filter frequency. On the second line, we'll add LFO1 positive as the source. We'll add a depth of 13, and the destination will be the resonance. And on the third and last line, we will add LFO2, also positive, as the source. We'll add the -25 as depth, and the destination will be frequency. These 3 settings, they're key in order to further add to the overall bounciness and drive of the sound. So make sure that you add them to your patch. And now we're finally done. The patch is complete and ready for you to use in whatever way you want. All right, we can wrap this one. The patch is done. Now you can just go out there and jam away. Let me know what you come up with. And if you like this video, make sure to subscribe, maybe give me a like, because I'll definitely post more of these in the future. I'll see you next time, and until then, keep jamming.